I've had lots of questions from people asking me to make a video about solar panels versus solar panels plus home battery system. I have been doing a lot of research. I've spoken to quite a few people. I've noticed that it's very difficult to get some accurate figures because there are so many variables involved, such as the efficiency of the solar panels, where you are located, what time of day you would use more energy. These are all factors that you need to consider. So I've tried to put it into simple terms that hopefully you will be able to apply to your personal circumstances. So solar array versus solar array plus home battery system versus home battery system on its own. Firstly, let's take a 4 kilowatt solar array, which is the average that most people will install. They cost upwards of £5,000. I've had quite a wide variety of prices when I've asked people. Bear in mind, prices have gone up over the recent year for obvious reasons, because demand has increased as energy has gone through the roof. A 4 kilowatt array requires between 21 and 28 square meters of roof, and bear in mind that that is the area of your roof that faces in the right direction, so it's not the whole of your roof. It generates around 3,000 kilowatt hours per year, or so I am told. It supplies energy when it's not needed really on a warm summer's day, but it doesn't supply energy when you do need it, which is on a cold winter's night. It's expensive and impractical to move, and it will invariably become outdated before it has paid for itself. What I keep hearing from people who have had solar panels installed is, yes, but it's a one-off payment and it will last for 25 years. I assure you it will not. It will not last for 25 or 20 or even 15. You'd be lucky for it to last a decade, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Moving on to a solar array plus home battery system. That will cost upwards of £10,000. Once again, it's expensive or impractical to move. And yes, once again, the solar array part in particular will become outdated before it has paid for itself. But for the moment, there is a third option, and that is to simply install a home battery system alone. And here's why. It costs around £5,000 to install. That would be for a 10 or 12 kilowatt hour battery system. And bear in mind, this is a battery that is specifically designed to use as a home battery system. I know that some of you may be able to wire up X amount of 100 amp hours in parallel so that you get enough output, but in reality that can be classed as officially dangerous, and there is the risk it could invalidate your home insurance, and it probably is dangerous anyway. And if it's not the right kind of batteries, they can't be run down to zero. Frequently the batteries would fail. This will cost no more than a solar array. It's suitable for small properties, even flats. There are immediate savings all year round, and the higher your usage, the higher your savings. But how does it work? Now, the current cost of electricity on average is 35p per kilowatt hour. However, the off-peak cost is as little as 7p per hour, and that can be between 12 and 4 or 1 and 6 in the morning, depending. I'm not sure exactly, but it's 4 or 5 hours through the night when, for obvious reasons, demand is negligible. Now, the UK average electrical use is around 3,000 kilowatt hours per year, or 8.3 kilowatt hours per day. So we're not using the average. For this example, I'm using the average for a family home, which would be 12 kilowatt hours per day. Times 365 days, that would be 4,380 kilowatt hours per year. At 35p per kilowatt hour, that is 1,000 £533 in electrical use. Forget the standing charge. That will be payable either way. So we're calculating usage only here. Now, on the off-peak tariff, if you were to have a home battery system that could charge up through the off-peak hours for use the rest of the day, that would not mean that you would not use any energy the rest of the time. So for this example, out of your 12 kilowatt hours, we've apportioned 10% to be used from your home battery system and 2%, 2 kilowatt hours per day to come directly from the grid. The 10 kilowatt hours would cost you at 7p per kilowatt hour, 70p, and the 2 kilowatt hours direct from the grid at peak rates of 35p per kilowatt would cost 70p. Daily total £1.40 times 365 days, that's £511, a saving of over £1,000 per year. Conclusion: a 4 kilowatt array that generates around 3,000 kilowatt hours per year will save around £1,000 at 35p per kilowatt hour. When compared to the off-peak tariff, though, of 7 kilowatts p per kilowatt hour, it only saves £210. Therefore, I'm not saying don't have both, but if it's a choice, install the battery system first. Then consider how long before you are going to move, because it's difficult, expensive, and realistically impractical to move a solar array. But a home battery system requires the services of an electrician for an hour to literally disconnect it and an hour to connect it to your new home, so you could take it with you. Now, you need to consider these factors before even looking at a solar array, because solar panels are on average 400 watts each. Only a decade or so ago, they were 100 watts. Where will they be in another decade? Even if your solar array is working fine, in a few years, the chances are that you will be inclined to upgrade, as there is every likelihood that the area taken by a current 4 kilowatt array, which is between 21 to 28 square meters, will be able to generate many times that as technology advances, of course. This will invariably be a reason to pay again to upgrade a 4 kilowatt array sooner than you would have expected, because in 5 or 10 years time, if you have a 4 kilowatt array which barely supplies what you need, but in the same roof area, in a decade or so, you can have a 12 or 16 or 20 kilowatt array that takes up the same space. Or perhaps you will replace your roof and have solar tiles by then because the price would have come down. Who knows where we will be within a decade? Even though you have paid for this system and you could in theory be using it for many more years, at that point it will become too tempting to upgrade again. So I would say that this notion that you are going to install solar panels now and get 20 or 25 years out of them, regardless of the guarantee, is a fallacy, because technology is moving that fast. That is exactly the same as having said you were going to buy a computer 10 years ago and get 10 years out of it. Yes, you could do in theory, but in practice, computers have doubled in performance every couple of years since who knows when, and that will continue. For the moment, for the time being, that will be the case with solar panels. Therefore, I would strongly urge you to consider installing a home battery system first. This could even go in an apartment. It can go anywhere, and your savings will be instant, and you will know exactly what you will save. You won't be dependent on the weather and how many hours of sunshine we will get per year, because technology is advancing. This is obviously important to those of you who are looking at alternative sources of heating. I have covered heat pumps. There are advantages and disadvantages. My personal opinion is irrelevant, but at the same time, which I will cover in a future video, we need to bear in mind that the change in legislation with regards to gas boilers is not exactly as we all think it may be, and therefore I need to look at that again in another video. I hope that this helps. If you are somebody who supplies home battery systems or even solar arrays, and you can contribute to this and help me to shed more light on this matter, which is probably on the minds of a large portion of the population, please feel free to get in touch, because it's very interesting, and I do think that it's important that people are able to make informed decisions. I hope this helps. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.